Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Hartwick and I am a network administrator at Maximum IT in Burlington, Ontario. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about the wonderful land of Exchange 2010. Specifically how we can create a bunch of mailboxes at once using a little thing called Powershell. Now if you're like me, you just automatically assume the obvious. And you're elated because finally Microsoft has done what it should have done a long time ago. Microsoft has finally combined Server 2008 with Mario Kart in an unholy union hybrid of awesomeness. But alas, my friends, this is not the case. There is no hybrid of Mario Kart and Server 2008. At least not yet. Get on it, Microsoft. Get on it. Instead, PowerShell is simply a command line / scripting tool that has come to the forefront in a lot of Microsoft products like Exchange, like Server 2008. It seems that Microsoft wants us to get back to the command line way of doing things, get back in touch with our DOS roots, so to speak. Luckily, PowerShell is not like DOS. It's a lot more intuitive and actually pretty easy to use once you get the hang of it, in my opinion anyway. So let's get started. So you can see on the bottom of my screen here I've got just VMware Workstation running, and this is actually where I'm running my Exchange server. You can see VM SRv01. This is actually my Exchange server that I have installed. I've also got a domain controller over here, VM SRv02, and I've got an Edge Transport server that I've got running the VM SRv03. But we're going to be focusing just on this server today, and let's talk about how we get to the Exchange Management Shell, which is basically PowerShell for Exchange. So in order to get there, we just click on the Start button, you go to All Programs, and Microsoft Exchange Server 2010, and there's your Exchange Management Shell. Now, I have this open already on the bottom of my screen here, you can see, and when you first start the Exchange Management Shell, you'll get a bunch of commands and help stuff at the top here to give you kind of a brief introduction of how to use PowerShell, essentially. Now, here you can see that a lot of PowerShell is based on a verb-noun type combination that Microsoft calls commandlets, CMDlets, what we call commandlets. So a lot of times you'll see get, set, new, and then dash, and then something else. So in Exchange, for instance, typing the command get-mailbox gets information about mailboxes. That's the basic premise of PowerShell. So PowerShell kind of works like that. Brief introduction. Anyway, let's get right into the command that you need to create all these mailboxes. So you can see here I've started typing up my command line. So I have get-user. So this is actually not Exchange specific, but I'm going to get users from a specific organizational unit. Okay, so get-user -organizational unit, and then what I've done is I've actually specified the OU that I want to get in here. Now, if your OU has a unique name, so let's say you have a OU named Exchange Users, and it's the only OU called Exchange Users, then you can just put Exchange Users in. But because I actually have my users in an OU called Users, and there's more than one OU called Users on my Active Directory, I need to specify the pathing to that. So I just have to put the single quotations, in this case testlab.com/Burlington/users. And then I'm going to use what's called the pipe sign. Now the pipe sign is usually just above your shift key on your keyboard, so you can use that. And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm saying, okay, PowerShell, get all my users in this organizational unit, and then what I want you to do is I want you to take that information and do something else with it. That's what the pipe does. So we're going to say where-object, and you don't really need to know exactly what all this does, is equal to the recipient type, essentially user. So recipient type -EQ is basically saying when the recipient type is equal to user, then what I want you to do with that, another pipe, is enable the mailbox for that user on the database, the mailbox database MBDB1. Okay, now if you're not sure what your mailbox database name is, you just have to go into your little Exchange Management console. Okay, so you can come here, All Programs, again, Exchange Server 2010, Exchange Management Console. I already had it open there. Just expand out my console tree here, come into Organization Configuration and click on Mailbox. And once it loads up here, you'll see Under database management, just reminding me that I'm still running on evaluation period because I can't afford this. Can't afford Exchange, not with what Maximum IT pays me. Anyway, give me a raise. Just kidding. Or am I? You'll never know. Okay, so here's under database management, you have MBDB1. So this is the only mailbox database I have. So you would need to specify the mailbox database that you want to use. You can find that name in there if you're not sure. And you can see that that's then created in there. And then all I have to do is hit the enter key once I type in all that information. And PowerShell is going to go through and attempt to create all these mailboxes for me. So you can see that it's creating one for Luke Skywalker there, and it's going to take a little bit of time to finish. There we go. So one's been created for Boba Fett and Han Solo, and of course myself. And yeah, I'm pretty much a geek. I use for some reason within lab environments, I always use Star Wars characters, and that's just to make it a little bit more awesome. No, who am I kidding? A lot more awesome. Anyway, so you can see all these mailboxes have now been created for all these people. Now, how do I check to see if those mailboxes are created? Well, we can actually do something similar. I can go get dash mailbox, and I can actually hit tab as soon as I start typing this stuff out. So when I type in get and then hit the dash, I'll actually show that again. So if I type in get and then go dash and do an M, and then I hit the tab key, it actually kind of fills it out for me. Now I can keep clicking on the tab, or keep hitting the tab, sorry, I should say, and you can see it keeps cycling through all the different get dash whatever begins with M in that particular case. So there's all these different commandlets I can choose from, but I just want get dash mailbox. And then I'm going to put in organizational unit. Again, I can hit the tab key. Makes things so much easier. And then I'm going to actually specify the path again. So I'm going to go testlab.com/burlington/your mom, just kidding, /users. Okay. And you can see that it is now showing me all the mailboxes. Now I already have one mailbox created, Darth Vader. And notice that that command didn't create a mailbox for Darth Vader again. It didn't duplicate it. So if you already have users in that particular OU that have mailboxes already, this command is smart enough to kind of skip over those users and only enable mailboxes for the users that don't have them. I know that's pretty smart of Server 2008, isn't it? So you can see, there we go. We have a bunch of different mailboxes that are now created for all these different users. And that's pretty much it. Very simple little tutorial this time. Nothing too fancy. But I hope you found it informative, and I'd like to thank you for watching. Or would I?